Hi everyone. In this session, we will be continuing group policy preferences. And we have two different set of settings in group policy preferences. We have Windows settings and we have control panel settings. For control panel settings, we have already taken a look in our previous session at power options, preferences, and printer preferences. For the Windows setting, for the Windows settings, we looked at mapping network drives. For this session, under the Windows settings, we're going to be looking at configuring custom registry settings. And under the control panel settings, we're going to be taking a look at Internet Explorer settings, folder options, and shortcut deployment. We're going to access Group Policy Management by clicking on Tools, Group Policy Management. We're going to expand our forests, expand domains, and we're going to expand the adderterm.com domain. We're going to right-click on Group Policy Object, and we're going to create a new policy which we will edit. And we're going to call the policy Preference Settings. Click on OK. Now we want to edit that policy, so we need to expand Group Policy Objects. And we're going to right-click on the Preference Setting Group Policy Object, and we're going to select Edit. Now we want to take a look at the Windows settings and the control panel settings. So we're going to first click on User Configuration. And instead of clicking Policies, you're going to click on Preferences. And you see that we have two settings here, Windows and Control Panel. Let's first just open Windows settings. And we take a look at the objects under Windows settings. We have applications here. And choosing applications, we can configure settings for applications. We have drive maps, and in our previous session, we looked at mapping drives. This creates, deletes, replaces, or updates map drives, and also configures the visibility of all drives. Then we have environment preference here. And this preference creates, deletes, replaces, or updates any environment variables. We have files, copies, modifies the attributes of, or replaces or delete files. We also have folders here, where we can create, delete, replace, or update folders. We have the INI file. For this preference, we can add, replace, or delete sections or properties in configuration settings, or set up information such as INF files. We have the registry settings. Here we can copy registry settings and apply them to other computers. We can create, replace, or delete registry settings. And then we have shortcut preferences. We can create, delete, replace, or update shortcuts. We're going to be taking a look at configuring the registry settings under Windows settings. And this group policy registry preference enables you to manipulate registry settings for computers or users. With this extension, you can do the following. You can copy registry settings from a source computer and you can apply them to target computers. You are able to create, replace, or delete an individual registry value. You can create an empty key, delete a key, or delete all values and subkeys in a key. Now we are going to click on the registry setting here. We want to right click on registry and we're going to click on new registry wizard. If we're going to be using our local computer, we can click next. Or if we're going to get the settings from another computer, we simply click on another computer and browse for the name of the computer. In our session, we're going to be using the local computer, so we want to click on next to continue. And then you can see the registry items listed here. And what you want to do is to expand the registry item of your choice for those items that you want to copy. So for example, we can expand local machine, and then on the local machine, you're going to see a set of choices. And what you do is you locate and select the checkbox for the folder that contains the settings that you want. So for example, if you wanted here software settings, you would click on software. Then after you select that registry entry, you want to click finish to make that a preference. And then the values are added to the registry wizard values folder as seen here. And any additional items that you want, you can add them the same way by just selecting the option that you want from the available options. You can also create collections of registry settings by selecting new and then collection item instead of the wizard in the group policy management. And a collection can contain other collections or items that you have added individually or by simply using the registry wizard. And that is how we configure the preference for custom registry values. We also want to take a look at configuring shortcut deployment. And this is the last option here on the Windows settings. And the shortcut preference extension will enable you to deploy standard shortcuts to users and computers. You can deploy shortcuts on the computer configuration mode or the user mode of the group policy. The shortcut preference group policy object allows you to create, modify, or remove a shortcut on a client's computer. Shortcuts that include drive mapping can only be made in the user mode of group policy. So remember that point. Let us right click on the shortcut. And we want to click on new shortcut. And we're going to see that we have the option box here where you can either update, create, replace, or delete. You can type your URL. If you want the shortcut to be a URL, it can be a web page or website or other location that can be addressed with a URL, and you would specify the path. Your shortcut can also be a file system object, a Windows path, a file folder, a share on a computer, or it can be an object such as a printer or desktop. And we saw the actions just now. We either had create, which will create the shortcut if the shortcut doesn't already exist. Delete would delete or remove a shortcut if it exists. And replace would combine the actions of delete and create, replacing an existing shortcut with a new one, or creating a new one if one does not exist. And then, of course, we have update, which will modify an existing shortcut without deleting it and recreating it. It does not overwrite the existing settings except those that explicitly are set in the preference, but it will create a new shortcut if the shortcut does not exist. Now, so all the settings here you can set for creating the shortcut preference. Next, we want to take a look at preferences for Internet Explorer. We're going to go to Group Policy Objects here, and we're going to create a new GPO by clicking on New. And we're going to name the GPO Internet Explorer. Click on OK to close the new GPO box. And we want to expand group policy, and we want to edit that GPO that we just created. So we're going to right click on the GPO and we're going to select Edit. And now we want to look for that preference. So we're going to go into User Configuration. And again, remember, we're not doing policies, we're doing preferences. So we expand preferences. And the Internet Explorer preference is on the control panel settings. So we're going to choose the control panel settings. And here we can see Internet Settings. We want to right click on Internet Settings, click on New, and we're going to choose Internet Explorer 10. And we can see the dialog box here for Internet Explorer 10 properties. And what we are able to do is to set all the options or the settings that we want. For example, let's say that we want the user to have for their homepage a particular website. We would go ahead, I will type the website, and here I'm going to type for the homepage etechtraining.com. And then we have some options here on the startup. Do you want to start with tabs from the last session, or do you want to start with the homepage? We're going to select homepage. Then you can change your browsing history. You can say delete browsing history on exits, or you can click here on the delete tab and you have a number of options that you can choose from. Let's cancel this box. You can also click on the settings tab and you have some options. Internet Explorer stores copies of web pages, images, and media for faster viewing later. And you can check whether you want to check for newer versions every time you visit the web page, every time you start Internet Explorer, or simply automatically or never. You also can change your disk space and your location. You can move the folder location. On the history, you can change options. Allow website cache and databases, you can change that. So what you really will do as an administrator is to go into Internet Explorer, make all the settings and changes that you want. Here you can do color, languages, fonts, accessibility. If we go to content, you can see here that you can change the options here: autocomplete settings, feeds and web slices, security. You can change the security level for the particular zone for trusted websites. You can have restricted websites. All of the Internet Explorer options that you would normally do, or you can normally do on the client computer. As the administrator, you can put computers in groups or users in groups, put them within the organizational unit, and then you would apply the GPO to that particular organizational unit. So those are the settings for your Internet Explorer preferences. So these are the settings that you can change for your Internet Explorer preferences. Let's click on Common here, because we want to go back to the item level targeting just to show you again that we can be very granular in who we want our policy to go out to, more so than we would if we were choosing policies. For example, if I click here on item level targeting and I click on targeting, select new item, I can go to disk space. And what this will do is only target the systems that have 80 gig. So the space targeting allows a preference item to be applied to a computer or users only if the processing computer's available disk space is greater than or equal to the amount specified in the targeting item. So if your system has 70 gig for free disk space, then your computer will not receive that preference. And bear in mind that in the beginning, we said that preference items are items that can be modified or changed by the user. So as an administrator, you will set this preference level setting, but it's not cut in stone like the policy is. The user can modify that setting. The last preference setting that we want to take a look at in this session comes under Control Panel Settings, and it's Folder Options. So we want to right click on Folder Options, click on New Folder Option, and we're going to say Folder Options at least Windows Vista. The Folder Options dialog box opens up with all the settings for a folder. And you have files and folders, you have hidden files and folders. So you can configure always show icons, never thumbnails, always show menus, display file icons on thumbnails. Those that are there, by default, you can remove them. For your hidden files, you can say show hidden files or leave the default do not show hidden files. And you scroll down and you see that there are a number of settings that we have here for the folder options, and we're able to choose the options that we want the user to have. And again, remember, these settings can be modified by the user. And I think the differences between the policies and the preferences, the main differences: one, the user can make changes, and two, you can be more granular in how you set these policies, meaning that you can go into item level targeting and you can target a specific set of users, specific set of computers, by choosing what you want to have as the option for these systems or users receiving this policy. This is the end of our setting on policy preferences, and I want to thank you for listening.